Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. It's Morgan. So hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I've been gone for I think a month, which is way too long. I feel like every day that I wasn't making a video, it like hurt. Like I didn't like it. Phew, but as we all know, we are officially in 2021. We've been in 2021 for quite a while, honestly. It's weird, but yeah, it's the new year. I have come with my first video of the new year to quickly wrap up 2020 and just my reading in 2020. Now, I didn't become a reader until this year, and it didn't actually start until March, right when we went into a lockdown for the pandemic. That is genuinely when I first got into reading. When I discovered BookTube, I just discovered all these tools. I got a bookshelf, like all these crazy things regarding reading happened to me this year. And honestly, that's probably the one and only thing that I can credit 2020 to doing to me, like as a positive, was getting me into reading. So thanks 2020. Okay, so like I said, I want to go over every book. I don't want to go over every book I read. I just want to show you all the books I read. And I plan to make another video just about my favorite books and my least favorite books, or my most disappointing books. It is going to be a bit of a quick video because I did not read like 100 books like I know a lot of the booktubers that I watch do. But I did my best, and I read 20 books starting from March to December, which is pretty great. And this year I do have a new reading challenge on my Goodreads, and my new challenge is to read 35 books. So I've already read one book this year, almost done with my second one, so I'm trying my best and I am on track. So we are going to start. I'm probably going to put up some pictures just to show you my Goodreads reading challenge in 2020 so you can truly see it. But the very first book that I read this year was called The Ask and the Answer, and this book is of course in a book series called Chaos Walking. If you guys don't know, the movie is coming out in a couple of months, I guess. So I read this in March, I guess. I just have to say, I haven't read a lot of books. If you go to my Goodreads, you'll see that I have not read a lot of books in my lifetime. Like this year I read 20 books, and in my whole life I've probably only read like 30 books. So what you see today is really this pretty much the only books I've read. So any new popular books that have ever been popular, I've probably never read them. So that's why I am just so excited to get into more reading, because I just want to know the hype about every book series and all the books. So back to Chaos Walking. I have not read a lot of book series, but I have read this one, and so far this is the best book series I have ever read in my entire life, period. I'm not going to speak on it too much because I do want to make a separate video of my favorite books, but this is the first book I read this year. Second book I read this year, I don't have it with me because I read it in a ebook, but I will put the picture up here. It is called Digital Heretic, and it was the second book in another book series that I was reading, and it was called The Game is Life. That was the book series. I read the first two books of those series on Kindle because it was free. And really quick rundown, it's actually on my Goodreads of my year in books. It says that the Digital Heretic was the least shelved in Goodreads, so like the least people who have read that book. So you might not know what it is, but really quick, it is about it's honestly, the concept for the book is so genius. I think it's genius. Really quickly. Okay, so we have this world, science fiction. We have this world, and their planet is called Tygon, and they don't have school, so kids do not go to school. What they go to is this AR simulation, where they get into the simulation, and in this simulation they are born and they live their entire lives in this world. And when they get into this world, these kids don't know they're in a game. They genuinely think that it is their lives. So they're going through their lives, and this is like school for them. So in this AR that they're in, they're going through their whole lives, and it's a chance for them to learn how life works and to grow from it, to experience new things, to invent new things. And while this is happening, normal citizens of that world, they can just watch your life on TV, like a reality TV show. They just watch you. So of course there's thousands of kids in this AR simulation game that they believe is real when they're in it. So of course they're taking it super seriously, and that's sort of the base of the story. And not later, but like we're told, and it's so cool, we're told that like Earth, so our lives right now, Earth, that is what Tygon's AR world is. So in that book, Tygon is the true world and Earth is the AR simulation that they're living in. And we are following two characters, where the first character, he goes in the game, he's born, he gets older, and he starts to believe that Earth is a game. And so he starts playing his life as a game, and he tries to convince people in Earth that this is a game. They don't believe him, but he's right, because it is a game, because Tygon is their actual world. It's genius. It was genius. I stopped reading it because I feel like the author really just didn't do enough with the characters for me. I love plots and I love action and adventure, but if you don't flesh out the characters, it's very hard for me to continue. But the story was always great, the plot was always great. I just felt the characters were lacking. So if you don't really care about characters, I would really recommend that book series. Third book I read was called Adrift. This is so weird just thinking back to that long ago, because that was a long time ago. But yes, third book I read was Adrift. I also read that in an ebook. It was a YA survival book about these teenagers who went on this boat at night and in the ocean, and the gas runs out, so they're just stuck in the ocean, just in the middle of the ocean, and they have to survive. That's the story. I read this with my dad because I have been trying to get him to read a book forever, and he agreed to read that book with me. So we went back and forth, just reading it out loud to each other. And we read that book. I didn't like it because it was YA and it was sort of cliche and stupid. What did I even give that book? Let me see if I can find my rating for that book. I don't know. Let me see. So for Adrift, I gave that 3 stars, and for Digital Heretic, I gave that 3 stars, and of course The Ask and the Answer, I gave that 5 stars. Next book is 1984, another book that I don't own, that I got from just ebook. And I actually started reading that book on the ebook on Kindle, but I had to stop because it was so boring. I did finish it, but I had to stop, and I had to find the audiobook for it because I could not read that book. It was so boring. Like, it was so boring. I hated every second of that book. I hated every second. And then when I got to the last page, I was just like, what? I don't care. Okay? And then I told my brother that I didn't like it. He was like, oh, well, you just don't get it. I'm like, I do get it. I understand that the dude, spoiler alert, but I do understand that the guy eventually succumbed to the people that were watching him, whatever. I don't even know how to explain that book. It was stupid. Quick synopsis of that book. It's about this guy, and we're living in like this, I don't even know what you want to call it, like I don't even know. Let me read what the fuck it's about, because I can't even tell you. Okay, so it's about this guy, and he's in like a futuristic world where the country that he's living in is a totalitarian. I can't say that word. I don't know. A world, and people watch him, and like they watch everybody in the world. They watch everybody in the country, and they're strict on everything, and he tries to be an individual when you're not allowed to be an individual, and it's boring. Okay. So boring. I don't want everything about that book ever again. Next. Okay, next book I read was the last book in the Chaos Walking trilogy, which was Monsters of Men. It's so weird to pick up these books again because they bring back so many memories. Like, oh my goodness. I feel like I want to just reread this book right now. It was so brilliant. This book was brilliant. Patrick Ness is a fucking genius. He's a genius. And I totally forgot how thick this book was. It's so weird. This book is, yeah, about 630 pages, but it's weird because when I was reading it, I went through it I never got bored. There was never a chapter that was boring. It was so good. Ugh. Okay, 5 stars. Next, I read Gone Girl. I've actually already done a review on Gone Girl back when I read it, if you guys want to check out that video. So I already did an in-depth talk about this book. Everyone knows what this is about. I don't need to go into it. Long story short, I think I gave it 2 stars. And I wanted to read this book because I had never read a thriller book before, and I love like scary stuff, so I thought, hey, why not? And because when I was watching a lot of BookTube, everybody was saying this is a perfect place to start when reading a thriller, when trying to find a thriller book, because it's so out there and crazy and you never expect what happens. Well, the reason why I gave it 2 stars is because I guessed the whole plot and the ending before I even started reading. Yeah, you heard me correctly. I read this little synopsis and I guessed the whole book. Go figure. Okay, moving on. Next book is A Monster Calls. This book right here, a little floppy, super quick. It's almost like a, I don't know, it's just super easy to read. It's just like middle grade, an adult. I think this is middle grade, but yeah, I picked this book up because it was by Patrick Ness and I adored the Chaos Walking trilogy books, so I thought I would also love this. This book is just about this little boy. How old is this kid? I don't know. He's in middle school. And he has nightmares every night, and when the book starts, his nightmare is like this tree that comes to life in the form of a giant man. And he just has nightmares about it, and this tree starts telling him 3 stories, and he's like, after I tell you these 3 stories, I want you to tell me yours. And we're like, okay, this is weird, and I'm reading it, and and at the end we find out, you know, the truth or whatever. I don't know. It wasn't a bad book. It was interesting. His story was pretty sad, but I'm never gonna like think about this book ever again. So yeah, this is better for the younger audience. Like, yeah, middle grade. Like if you're in middle grade, I think it would hit harder for you, but I feel like I'm just into so much darker things that it didn't really hit me like that, but I got the message. So next book I read was Six of Crows. And of course, when starting to watch BookTube videos, you can't watch, there's no way you're going to watch BookTube videos and not hear about Six of Crows. So that's why I picked it up, because it was so many people were talking about it. So I picked it up. A lot of people said you need to like read, what's the book called? Grishaverse? I don't even know. The first book series that this lady made, Shadow and Bone. Yeah. A lot of people say that you need to read that before you read this. I didn't do that, mostly because I watched a lot of reviews about Shadow and Bone, and a lot of people didn't like it, so I was like, why would I waste my time? So I didn't read those book series. I went straight to Six of Crows. I actually liked this book. I thought it was good. I don't know why I had this face on right now, but I liked it, and that's sort of it. That's sort of, yeah, I haven't read Crooked Kingdom. I might as well read it just to get it out of my face, but yeah, it was good. I mean, I gave it 4 stars. I liked every character. I was into it when I read it, but for some reason right now, I just don't care. I don't know. Next is Salt to the Sea. And this would be my first historical fiction book I ever read. So, Salt to the Sea, this is a really good book. I did like this a lot. As you can see, I have quite a bit of sticky notes in this book. yeah, it's so interesting, this book, because it's just let me quickly go over this this synopsis. So yeah, so when we think of really bad what's the word I'm looking for, maritime like tragedies, we think of the Titanic, but no one ever thinks of this particular ship, which was called the Wilhelm Gustloff. And this ship like had, I don't even know how to explain it, thousands of people in the ship, and these thousands of people were trying to flee from Soviet advance, because this is during some war, I don't know. I feel like I try my best to read historical fiction just to get more info on just history, so I'm trying here. But yeah, anyways, this is based on a true story about this ship that was holding thousands of refugees from different countries, and they were fleeing because their countries were being invaded by the Soviets because of the war. And I mean, this is people from like all different backgrounds and countries that the US at the time didn't like, or they weren't good people, or they weren't seen as good people. And I think that's one of the big things that I take from this book is the Titanic is, I mean, everyone knows that story. I mean, they made a movie about it. Everyone knows it. And it was really depressing, but this was worse than the Titanic. More people died. Yeah, so much. It says, the forgotten tragedy that was 6 times deadlier than the Titanic. So like I said, no one knows about the story. I never heard about this. And the author, at the end, she talks about one reason why that might be, and then she goes on to say that it was probably because the countries themselves were just labeled as bad and had done bad things, and because of that, when the ship that was carrying so many different people from those countries drowned, no one cared enough to talk about it. So that was that book. Really good. Next book is The Institute. This was the first Stephen King book I had ever read, period, and the only book of Stephen King that I've read. I picked this up because I love horror and I wanted to read a Stephen King book, and it was new. So I thought I would love it, and I didn't like it at all. Okay, that's a lie. I don't want to say I hated it, because I didn't hate it, but it was boring. Like, it's labeled a horror book, so where is the scariness in it at all? And I feel like halfway through this book, I was totally lost, because they're in a train, right? But then they're talking about taking an elevator. And I'm like, how are we in an elevator in a train? So they lost me on that. This book is about this kid, middle school age. He gets kidnapped, and he's put on this train with all these other different kids, and they have powers. That's all I know. It was a waste of my time, waste of my money. I should have picked up a older Stephen King. And I'll do that eventually. And then I finally read the first book of Harry Potter. Yay! Woo! I don't care. I'm so stupid. Yeah, so I read this book. I don't know, guys. I'm too old for it. Like, I'm too old. I read the first book, and then I watched the movie, and I did enjoy the actual movie experience of watching it way more than I did reading it. I'm 18. It does not resonate with me at all, and that's my own fault. You know what I mean? I told my best friend this because she loves this book series, and I was like, I genuinely don't think I can get into it. Like, I'm too far gone. I'm out of that age range, and I know a lot of people who are my age and older who love these books. And I guess you could say it's less to do with my age range and more to do with what I like watching and reading. I'm more into scary, gore, depressing, sad, adult stuff. That's my jam. So this is just weird. That just doesn't fit in with me. So I did read the first book, and I watched the first movie, and it was good. The movie was good. Yeah, so that was that. Flip the page. Next book I read was called The Jewel. So The Jewel is YA. It is about, it's so weird. This is also a book series. I gotta pick up the second one. So this is, how do I explain this? Okay, so we're in this world where, is it dystopian? I don't know. I feel like we'll just call it dystopian. So we're in a dystopian world where the citizens are separated into classes, and we have the low class and the high class, and of course the middle class. And right now our main character is in the low class, and she's a girl. She's 16 years old, and in this world, the women of the higher class, the royalty, they can't produce heirs. Their heirs just don't work out. They just like die. It's weird. So in this book, the only women who can safely and produce a baby and have it healthy is by getting the girls from the poor places. It's so weird. I don't know how they explain this, but that's what it's about. And we're following this girl, and she gets tested, and she's 16. She gets tested, and they find out that she is fertile, so they take her, and she is sent to the auction where she is sold to become I guess you could call it a handmaiden, honestly. To become a handmaiden, servitude. So she gets sold, and of course she has to move herself into this royal family. And the whole story is, and her best friend is also her age, and it also gets sold to another royal family. So she has herself and her best friend. And in the book, I mean, her goal, well, the royalty's goal is to get her pregnant so that she can produce an heir. And the woman that it got sold to, her whole goal is to birth this beautiful, sophisticated, smart, strong, courageous girl, this baby girl, so that she can be the best girl out of all the babies that get born. And if she bears like the best girl that gets born, then the baby will, then the king and queen will choose that baby to marry their baby son. It's a lot. So yeah, I don't know. Okay, next. It was good. I liked it. It was a choppy way to explain it. My bad. Okay, next. Lord of the Flies. Okay. I think I gave this like 2 stars. It was terrible. It was terrible. I thought I was gonna love this book because I loved watching the movies of Hunger Games. So I thought I would love this because it's kids and they were supposedly going to be killing each other. So I thought this was going to be great for me. But I hated it. And it was so weird because this is like a small-ish book. But for some reason, it took me forever. Like, it was hell. I hated this book. It was stupid. Wasting my life. Honestly, the best part about this book was probably like the last... was not even a page. It was like... I think it was like... I don't even know. The author was like talking about something. It was in the afterword, and the author was talking about the book, and that was the best part of the book, was the afterword. I didn't like it. Next. So I also read Harry Potter, the second Harry Potter. So Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. I don't have that with me because I read that on ebook on my Kindle, but I did read that book. And of course, after I read it, I watched the movie. Again, the movie was good. It was bearable. I liked it. It was funny. The book was another whole other story. I actually, like, right now, I was attempting to read the third book, but I stopped because I can't do it anymore. It's honestly impossible for me to get in that book and enjoy it enough to care enough to finish. So I'm not gonna finish. I'll just watch the movies eventually. I don't know. I told my best friend that I couldn't read it because it was just so boring and I just wasn't in it. And so I think I'm going to give Percy Jackson a try. So we'll see about that. So after Harry Potter, I read The Passengers. This was stupid. I'm going to be completely honest with you. This was stupid. I was actually going to read The One by John Marrs. That was that was the book that was in my head when I was looking up The One on Amazon to buy it. Then I saw this book and I was like, hey, this book might be more action-packed and more crazy than the one. So I picked this one up, and this was a big mistake. This is a futuristic world where every car is self-driving, and about 7 people get in their own vehicles and they put in their destinations, the car starts driving, and then all of a sudden the doors lock, the windows turn black, and they have no control over their vehicles. And it's like, who's gonna die? That's the main point of this book. Here's what I'll say about this book. Spoiler alert, I guess. I really hate books like this, and I hate movies like this, where they have the audacity to tell me that everyone is gonna die but one person. They have the audacity to tell me, the reader, the people in the situation, and the bystanders, that everyone is gonna die but one person. They have the audacity to tell me that, and then at the end of the fucking book, not kill anyone. What is wrong with you? Grow some balls and annihilate people. I am tired of, you do not know how many movies I've watched where like they say, we're gonna kill everyone, or 5 people are gonna die. And then the movie ends, you know, the movie is going to the end, and we learn that no one was ever going to die because this was all a social experiment. I hate that shit. I hate it so much. I just hate it so much. It's honestly infuriating. It gets my hopes up because I was honestly looking forward to just saying everyone died but one person, but it didn't happen because it was a social experiment. So next, okay, next book I read was Little Fires Everywhere. So this was the first like contemporary book I ever read, and I picked this up because it was a TV show, and I was like, hey, I'll read this and I'll watch the show. I still haven't watched the show yet. I gotta get to it, but I did read the book. The book wasn't bad. It was interesting. I mean, I don't know. It was interesting. I think I gave it 4 stars. It wasn't bad. It just wasn't my cup of tea. My favorite genres revolve around fantasy, dystopian, horror, thriller, killing. That's my genres. This wasn't it. But it wasn't bad. It was good. Talked about motherhood, immigration. Well, not immigration. Immigrants. Yeah. Next. We're almost done. Phew. Red Rising, first book in a new series I am starting. I love this book. I did give it 4 stars. I decided not to give it 5 stars because I don't want to be the kind of person or reader that just gives 5 stars away like it's nothing, because it means something to me to have a 5-star book and to genuinely obsess about it. And even though I did love this book, I did not obsess about it. I'm just not there with it yet, but I did love it. I will say that. I think the main reason why I didn't obsess about it is because I feel like half of the book reminded me so heavily of the Hunger Games that it just took away from the lore. It took away from the newness of it because it felt like Hunger Games. This book is about, how do I explain this? This kid, this dude, I don't even know. They have like different races, and their races are like different colors of people. I guess he's a red, and so his like hair is red and his eyes are red. And the whole point of reds and their people, they mine Mars, and they mine Mars because Mars has this mineral that's supposed to help with terraforming worlds. And so the reds were all told that they are helping the continuation of the human species by finding this mineral and giving it to these people so they can terraform other worlds to make it safe for other people to live in. That's a lie they were told. Long story short, spoiler alert, they weren't. That's a whole lie. They were living underground, of course, drilling to get this mineral. And our main character later, it's sort of discovered that the world that they're attempting to terraform has already been terraformed, and their underground mining they're just working the hell out of them for no reason at all. Stupid. I was just honestly annoying. He had a wife. The wife was murdered. He got pissed. Long story short, the rebel people, this rebel organization that is trying to fight back against the government, sort of took him in and was like, hey, we're gonna take you and we're gonna make you into a gold. So golds are the highest of the high. So they genuinely like performed surgery on this guy, like changed everything about him to make him look like a gold. And so now he's a gold, and now his like goal is to like become super high in the ranks and destroy it from the inside out. Now that seems awesome. I think that seems awesome, and I love stories with journeys. I think this book series is going to be a true journey, because in this book, spoiler alert, by the end of it, he of course becomes gold. He enters this sort of game that you have to win to I don't even know, this game that people have to go, that golds have to go through and win to be selected for higher positions. I don't know, it's hard to explain. It was a good book. I'll be picking up the next one. Okay, next is A Little Life. This book was hard. It took me like 4 months to read this book because it's long as hell, and the pages are so thin, and there's so many words on each page. It was hell on earth, but it was a good book. You know, I don't want to talk completely bad things about it. It was a good book. I did like it. I made reading vlogs about Little Life, so I don't want to talk too much about it, but it just focuses on 4 college kids, college students. Well, no, 2 friends who met in college who are adults now. They're all men, and we're just seeing them through their life, and that's pretty much all I'll talk about. But yeah. Moving on. Next book I read was Wild Girls. I picked this book up because I'm obsessed with the YouTuber Books and Lala. I love her. And this was one of her favorite books, so I thought I would pick it up. And it was also like sold to me as a Lord of the Flies girls. I don't know why I thought I would like this if I hated Lord of the Flies, but I thought, hey, you know, I like the concept of Lord of the Flies itself was interesting, even though the book was terrible. The plot, the end, it was, you know, so I thought this might be good. I hated this book. It made no sense. I'm not even going to talk about the book because I don't want to. It was just boring. I don't even want to think about it ever again. But I will talk about the ending. Spoiler alert. So, it was just, I just hate books that, you know, this isn't even a spoiler. Well, I guess maybe so, but not really. I just hate books and movies that end so... The ending was so stupid. He was like, okay, so they're on an island, right? Fast forward, the island's gonna blow up. Sure. Well, not blow up. It was gonna blow up. No, it wasn't. The island was gonna kill everybody on the island, okay? And they had to escape. So, the main character and her friend got on a boat and were leaving the island. And literally, like, the book just ends with them on a boat leaving the island. I'm just like, okay, that's stupid. Okay, last book. We're on the last book. I talked too much. My mouth hurts. I'm ready to stop. Last book I read this year was Miracle Creek. Courtroom thriller, explosion, who did it? Stupid. Honestly, don't read this book. Please don't. It's boring. I didn't like it. It was really boring. I had to read the audiobook because it was so boring. Okay, that was the books I read this year. Yeah, I'm wrapping this up right now. Quick overview. I read 20 books in 2020. 8 were science fiction, 4 were fantasy, 3 were thrillers, 1 was historical fiction, 2 were contemporaries, 2 were survival books, 1 was magical realism, 2 were mystery. I read 9 YAs, 7 adults, 3 middle grades, and 1 new adults. That was my year in 2020. It was good enough for my first year of actual reading. I hope you guys loved this video because I loved making it. Yay! Subscribe, comment down below. I will be making a more in-depth video of the books that I hated and the books that I loved. But I might just put that all in one video just to get it done with. I also really quickly made I bought a reading journal. Yeah, reading journal. And I've been doing it, and it's honestly beautiful inside. I'll have to make a video separate from this, but thank you guys so much for watching, and bye!